My name is Ayush Bansal. I am 22 years old. So I have recently completed my economics honors from Hindu College. So I was basically very good at mathematics and in other subjects from the very beginning. So I am also pursuing FRM. I have already passed the first level of FRM and I plan on giving the second level this November. So the main reason I wanted to take GMAT was that I want to pursue a master's in finance course. And as everyone knows, the options in India, the good options in India, they are very limited. So I was very clear from the very beginning that I will pursue my finance from either London or from New York. So I looked at many courses, and almost every course demanded the GMAT score. So I intended on giving the GMAT. So I started my preparation in around June 15th, and I gave my GMAT exam on 25th of July. So, and after giving the exam, I scored a 740. For me, my strategy was very, very simple. I think I thoroughly went through the study material that EduShastra provided me. And I think I was very comfortable on the exam day because of that. Because the most of the tricks and most of the questions that came on the real test, they were related to the study material. So I did not particularly face any difficulties. But what I would say is that one should remember that GMAT is a test of your aptitude and your awareness. It is not a test of mathematics. So I was also pretty nervous before the exam that they were going to test me on certain mathematical concepts in which I was weak. But that was not true at all. So basically, I would say that you have to be more aware and you have to be very sharp in order to do the questions on the GMAT. Because as I told, I have already given the exam and I did not find any question with tough calculations. Actually, I think there were only 3 or 4 questions where I had to use pen and paper to solve them. Most of them, if you knew the concepts and if you knew the tricks underlying them, you could easily solve. And the second and most important strategy that I would say is that do not think about questions that you do not know. GMAT is not a test about how many questions you get right. It is about the level of difficulty that you get wrong and the level of difficulty of questions that you get right. And I think that is one of the biggest strides where you can improve your scores, because I think I finished my GMAT math section 10 minutes earlier than the scheduled time. So I was able to do all of the 31 questions in around 50 minutes. And one of the main reasons was that I didn't waste even a single second of my time in questions to which I do not know the answers. So that is the biggest thing you can do to improve your GMAT score. That is all I would say about the quant section. And coming to verbal, I would say the verbal is a pretty hard section in GMAT. I scored a V40. So I would say that most of us, we do not care about the verbal section and we are always studying for quant. But actually, I read on the MBA website that if you score a V51 and you have a quant score in the 50th percentile, your score will be 740. But if your quant score is 51 and your verbal score is in the 50th percentile, your score will be 640. So you can understand the difference we are talking about. So I think everyone should focus more on the verbal section rather than the quant section. And so there were a lot of sentence correction questions and the critical reasoning questions. So first of all, I would say the best strategy for critical reasoning is to identify the conclusion. I think 50% of the game lies in there. If you are able to identify the conclusion correctly, then you will be able to avoid the trap answers. I was able to identify pretty much all the conclusions in the answers, and I could see how students, they can get trapped because many of the answers, they were either strengthening the premises or they were weakening the premises. So I would say one of the biggest things to master critical reasoning is to identify the conclusion. And I think most of the students, they always identify either the premises or the evidence as the conclusion. So I think the critical reasoning questions, they obviously got pretty hard by the end of the exam. But if you were able to identify conclusions correctly and you knew how to relate those conclusions to the assumptions that were giving in the answer choices, you can do pretty well. And now coming to the sentence correction. So again, I would say that GMAT is not a test of grammar. It is a test of your logical and coherent abilities, cognitive abilities, sorry. So basically, I would say the GMAT sentence correction started with our pretty basic things like the differences between which and that, parallelism, and other things. But by the end of the exam, what I noticed was that the sentences, they were making meaning grammatically in almost every answer choices. But like each and every answer choice, it was trying to change the meaning of the sentence. So like by the end, again, the sentence correction questions got very hard. But then if you had your logic and you knew actually what was happening in the sentence, then you can easily score a decent percentile in sentence correction. Like I remember in some of those questions, they were trying to introduce parallelism, but actually there was nothing like that. So if you were just adapted to grammatical skills, you would have gone with the parallelism options, but that wasn't the case. So again, you have to always be aware and you have to always apply your logic, because sentence correction is not only about the grammar, which like changes the meaning of the sentences, but it is more about logic. Because at the end, I think logic was making more sense than the grammar, because like the questions got pretty hard, I could not understand some of the meanings. So I just used my logic, and I think I did pretty well in both sentence correction and critical reasoning. And I would say the third and most important subsection of verbal section is the reading comprehension. So like I was pretty daunted and surprised by it, because the level of difficulties of the last two passages, it was like immense. I could not understand much about the passages. But then again, I think the first two passages, they were very, very direct. They were easy to understand. So one tip that I would particularly give students in on how to crack these reading comprehension questions is that you have to understand the difference between inferred and state. Like I think most of the mistakes that we do in RCs, they come in these two categories. When you are talking about what can be inferred from this passage, you do not select the option that states that particular answer in the reading comprehension itself. As I have seen, like when I was doing the questions from EduShastra as well, they provide your comparative ranking as well. And when I was comparing that, I could understand that most of the students, they were selecting the inferred questions of the stated answers. So like I think that is one of the big things that you can do in order to make sure that your score of RC does not go down. And again, I think the RC is the most important subsection in the verbal section. So my first two essay reading comprehensions, they went pretty well. But by the third and the fourth one, I could not understand much in the reading comprehensions. And I think like I was doing pretty well. I think I was going around V45 and 46 at that point. And it was the last two reading comprehensions that took away some of the points from my score. So like overall, the experience, it was pretty good. I think I was very well prepared by all the coaching, by all the team at EduShastra. And more importantly, I think I was ready for the exam. I did not have that fear or the jitters that you have normally while taking the exam. I would say one more important tip is to be consistent in your practice. I think consistency is more important, and it is not like that you have to study 6-7 hours daily or you have to do hundreds of questions. I would say you have to do a very limited pool of questions. Like as when I was preparing, I only did the questions that EduShastra gave me. I did not even touch the official guide and the other books that everyone recommends. And whenever I was making mistakes, I would stop. I would see where I was making the mistakes, and then I would watch the videos that was provided by the team. And I think that was pretty sufficient for me. I can say, like, again, for the quant section, you have to be aware, because the data sufficiency questions, they are always giving you information already that you need for the answer. But when you are in a hurry, you can often miss those important points and you will obviously lose your score. So what I would say is that do not lose your time on the wrong questions, because even if, let's say, you spend 3 or 4 minutes doing a question, you are against a computer, they will know that you do not know the answer to this question properly. So they would obviously be giving you a simple or a same difficulty level question the next time. So it is better that you do not waste any time in these questions. And when I say do not waste time, I do not mean that you just guess. You have to make a calculated guess as well. So that is one of the most important things, because I think there were one or two data sufficiency questions where I could not understand the meaning, but I was able to narrow it down to two choices. And that means I could be right 50% of the time. So you do not have to guess just for the sake of it. If you do not understand the question, you should eliminate everything you can and just go with one of the options that remain. So I would say this is the thing. And like I would, for the quant section again, it basically tests everything from every section. They were testing just your logic. There were not like very complex mathematics where you are doing long divisions, long multiplications. I did not come across a single question like that. So it is basically a test for your aptitude and your logical abilities. And the same goes for verbal. Most of the reading comprehensions and critical reasoning and sentence correction questions, they were based on logic, nothing else. I did not think I had even a single question based on idioms or on the grammatical mistakes. It was all about logic at the very end. Yep. One more thing, that you do not have to get phased during the exam, even if you get the questions wrong. I got the first question wrong in the quant section, and it took me 5 minutes. And I was like super nervous, because I know the importance of the first 10 questions. And I was like shocked to see that I wasn't able to solve a question that easy. So basically, you have to be calm and you have to be aware throughout the exam. I was able to do pretty well after the first question. And then I think my score started improving gradually. And by the end of the quant section, it was all about maintaining that score, because I was getting a mixture of medium level and difficult level questions. But as I said, I had thoroughly gone through the material provided by EduShastra, so I did not felt any difficulty in doing those difficult questions. I would even go on to say that the material of EduShastra, it is far more difficult than the real GMAT, and that is one of the beauty of the material, that it has already prepared me in such a way that even if more difficult questions start to come, I can easily answer them. And for the verbal as well, I think their verbal official guide is very comprehensive. They have a variety of questions ranging from different difficulty levels. And they have basically what I find about EduShastra is that they have provided the material in such a way where you can understand it by your own. You do not need to have to go through videos. You do not have to go through other materials just to understand what they have written. They have written it in a very concise manner. They haven't underwritten or overwritten anything. They provide very concise details about every topics on which you should focus, and the topics that you can let go of. And I think that helped me a lot, because I was confused, as everyone is at the start of the exam, because you see the horizon of GMAT is so much. Questions, they come from everywhere, but you need to be structured in your approach if you want to score a very decent exam number. As I said, first of all, I think every student, they should take the practice test of GMAT, because that is the best test that you can get. I see many students, they were recommending me to take the Kaplan test, to take the Manhattan test, but you have to understand it is the G software of the proprietary software of the GMAT. It is not relatable to the software of other companies. So first of all, you have to take the practice test so that you know where you are actually standing at. As I said, my score on the practice test, if I remember correctly, was Q48 or Q49, and my verbal score was 28 or 29. And that was from the very beginning my weakness. And so for me, I have to thank EduShastra team for all the support they gave me. I had a very long chat at the first. I had a very long chat with them when I first approached them, and they asked me about if I had given the practice exam. I gave them. I told them the scores I had scored, and they prepared certain exams and certain sectional tests in that regard. So they knew from the very beginning where my weaknesses were. They provided me with all the relevant videos. They provided me all the relevant questions, I would say, for most of the topics. And what I find most interesting is the availability of the team. Like, they were always available for me. I would WhatsApp them at 7 p.m. I would WhatsApp them at 11 a.m. and they were always answering my questions. But yep, I remember this one time where I asked for uh, more sentence correction test and they sent 150 to them. So like 150 and each test contained 10 and 15 questions. So approximately 1500 questions. So it can't get wrong much from that point. So as I said, I did not study from anywhere else. I just went through the material provided by EduShastra. So let me talk more about the material. So they provide 3 official guides of theirs, which I think is the best. Nothing matches them. I have also seen many different guides from Manhattan. Yep, even from the Indian guides. I won't name them, but they are the guides of EduShastra. They are the best, like absolute best. If you go through them, I don't think so any student would score less than 700 because they are formulated and they are concise in that manner. And then they also provide guides for each section. So there are basically 4 main sections in quant algebra, word problems, geometry, and arithmetic. And they provided guides for each and every single topic and for each and every single subtopic. And they provided 100 questions on average for each and every single subtopic. So yep, this was the level of material that I am talking about. So it is so comprehensive and so understandable, easy to understand. And the answers they have provided with all, so they have not only provided the options to the answers, they have also provided the solution. They have also provided the detailed solutions of the answers. So that helped me a lot because their material is very different from all the other materials. You can't find the answer to their questions online. So by having the answers at the same time, I could quickly look at the mistakes that I was making. And by the time I went through the entire quant section of theirs, I could probably solve almost like every question that I was getting from GMAT Club, from their own sectional test, because they had already incorporated all of those tricks and traps in their own questions. So that is like was a very big help to me on the test day, as well as I could clearly see what I was doing. I could clearly identify the trap answers and I was posting through some of the questions. Like I did not even have to think twice. Some of the questions, it took me around 30 to 40 seconds because of the help that they provided. And if I did not join them, I did not think that I would be able to solve those questions because they were very tricky. And if you do not know the concept, you could spend an hour and be unable to solve the questions. And now coming to the verbal sections. So they have a very similar strategy here as well. They provided me with the verbal guide, and there were 3 subsections. They provided the guides of the subsections as well. And even on the subsections, like each and every single detailed topic, such as the difference between such as and like, where we use which, where we use that, they were providing me with 20-page material for each and every subtopic of the subtopic as well. So there were hundreds and hundreds of questions of each and every single category. And when you are going through such a comprehensive study material, nothing can go wrong. I am like confident that even if I have to give the exam again, I will be able to score the very same. So I have to thank again to all the teachers. Their YouTube videos, I would say they are just phenomenal. They are absolutely phenomenal. There's nothing else to say because they, like, after watching them, there was another perspective in my mind. I never used to think that way. And like I would say, their preparation not only helped me get a good score, but they have also like broadened my horizons, because like I wasn't aware of the thing of like how different things can happen. So basically what I found the most interesting in their YouTube videos was that they were not only preparing us for the exam, but they were also giving us with the simple strategies that we can use in our day-to-day life as well, like simple counting, simple percentage strategies that you can use in your lives without the use of a calculator. So I would say the YouTube study material was also exceptional. I think I got around 50 videos. So there was around 500 hours of study materials there.